Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. The time is 3:01 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Rules Administration and Procedures Committee meeting. Alderman Yamas requests permission to participate in this meeting remotely per Section 2-80 due to a medical or emergency circumstances beyond his control that make it impossible for him to attend this meeting. Is there a motion to authorize Alderman Yamas to participate in this meeting remotely? Had a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Chairperson Ron Warman.
Here.
Vice Chair Emmanuel Llamas.
Here.
I think he's muted.
Who's muted?
I didn't hear us.
Can you guys
Vice
not hear me?
Chair Emmanuel Llamas.
His lips are moving, but we can't hear him.
Can you hear me? No?
Okay.
I'm not muted.
Alderman Edward J. Bugg.
Here.
Alderman Carl Franco.
Here.
Alderwoman Patty Smith.
Here.
5 present.
Okay, first item on the agenda, 24-0402, approval of the minutes from the Rules Administration and Procedures Committee held on May 21st, 2024.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Not being able to hear him, is it 4-0?
I believe we have to be able to hear him. Do we have someone from the?
We're working on it.
Okay, because they, not him.
Can he hear us?
Supposed to have to check before we start.
So if he gives us a thumb up, is that like a yes, and a thumbs down is a no until we get a fix?
Can we get on speaker through his phone?
Yeah, we'll just hold for a minute here. Sorry, guys.
More money for the IT
One moment, someone from the fifth floor is coming down. We're working on it right now.
So, Brian, they did a test
They did, yeah.
before, and we could hear him, and the room could hear him.
Yeah.
And now, nothing. It's at that magical 3 o'clock hour.
It must be,
Everything just goes out the window.
Must have clouded up or
Just
something
goes
like
out
that,
the
yeah.
window.
Cynthia, just so you know your mic's on. Manuel, can you hear us? Thank you. Video.
Unfortunately, no.
No.
So if we have somebody with a disability that couldn't speak, and we had a sign language person in there, we couldn't have them at movie and alderman or alderman?
You have to make special rules. You have to suspend rules and make special. When I was out sick and they couldn't hear me, it was no go.
Alderman to talk.
Can you say something, Emmanuel?
Something. Something. Can you hear me?
I heard
Hear me?
it's
Hear me? Hear me?
Can you say
You
it
guys can hear
louder?
me now? Can you hear me now? Now? Patty, can you hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Hear me? I can hear myself echoing.
We can hear you just a teeny weeny bit, but not, we can't hear what you're saying.
On our reverberations.
So I can hear myself echoing
I just
for
heard-
some reason. Is this any better?
I can hear it. It sounds like it's from the TV.
We can hear you, we just gotta figure out how to turn you up.
If you guys can hear me, is that not enough to satisfy the legal requirements for me to participate?
I heard what you just said. You said because we can hear you, does that not satisfy the legal requirements of being able to hear you?
Correct.
I don't know how to answer
Let's get
that.
this on the road.
You can hear him. It's just very, very low. Catching it, and they're still working on it. I would continue the meeting.
Can we,
Just have him speak very loud.
can we pause and make sure he votes out loud so we can hear him?
Thank you, Rich.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good there. So as of now, Vice Chair Yamas, we are waiting for your vote on approval of the minutes from the meeting held
Oh.
on May 21st.
Yes.
Okay. Item passes 5-0. Madam Clerk, is there anybody here for a public comment?
We do not have anyone signed up.
Okay, great, thanks. Next item on the agenda, 24-0414, an ordinance establishing the Sister Cities Commission under Chapter 2, Article 6 of the Code of Ordinances.
So moved, but I'm sure there's some kind of presentation for this.
Good afternoon, Alex Voigt with the Mayor's Office, and with me I have Martha Paschke, the Director of Innovation and Strategy. And also I did want to introduce the Law Department intern, Kyle Johnson, who did also work on the drafting of this ordinance as well. So this is the commission that was introduced at the May 7th Committee of the Whole, where Martha presented the presentation on the sister cities and the city's plan to engage with sister cities. One of their recommendations is to create an advisory body to support and provide guidance on the process. So this is the language suggesting that committee be created, and it will follow all of the other standard boards and commissions, rules and regulations that are outlined earlier in Chapter 2. And with that, we can take any questions.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Just how many people will be on this one?
We'll be a 9-member.
Okay.
That's our standard size,
Right.
so if it's not outlined in there, we go with 9.
Excellent, thank you.
Alderman Leach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I'm not on this committee, but just out of curiosity, what happens once the sister city is selected? Does this commission expire?
No, so actually, the sister city, Martha Paschke, Director of Innovation and Strategy. So sister cities relationships are established by city leadership, elected officials, and staff create the relationship of the sister city and get the MOU created with the partner city. And beyond that, the commission would oversee the maintenance of that relationship. So whatever activities they decide to engage in, whether it's connecting businesses, students through schools, artists, things like that. So it's good to have a breadth of experience and specialty on the commission, but they actually serve to maintain that relationship and kind of host the activities for the sister cities.
And then once they come back with a recommendation, this council then runs it through the process to adopt that city, correct?
So right, so they're involved in that early and ongoing maintenance of the relationship, but the initial creation of the relationship has to be done between the elected officials, the elected leaders. So mayor to mayor is the MOU agreement that establishes it, and then the commission supports and maintains the relationship going forward.
And then do we have a city in prospective city?
So we have, it's interesting how sister cities get established. We shared with sister cities a list of cities that we had looked at that we have things in common with, or maybe already have some sort of early relationship with through other engagements. IT and MOED have had some relationships with other cities in other countries. So we did share that list with Sister Cities International. They can use that to look at if any of those cities are also looking for sister cities, and kind of help start the formation of the relationship because they have the connections to the officials in other cities. They help us make those connections early on. So I don't think we have anything like officially started yet. We've had a few conversations, but we have that list of cities that we would like to engage with.
Second.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Yeah, quickly.
Chair Alderman Bug.
From the previous administration, didn't we have some unofficial sister cities? I thought we did. Not through Sister City International and IML.
Yes.
I thought.
So in my research, because I was curious about that, and I had heard some talk that maybe there was a very early stage sister city relationship established in the 1990s that was not maintained. So that relationship no longer existed.
Okay.
There are also friendship cities. So through Sister Cities International, you can have a sister city that's an MOU agreement between the cities, but then you can also have cities that you have a looser relationship with, and those are friendship cities that don't require an MOU between the cities. So there might be like one particular area you want to work on together, but you don't want to formalize a relationship, and that can be a friendship city.
Okay. Do we have any friendship cities?
I mean, I think what we're looking at is some of the cities that we already have relationships with, like the 2 cities in Italy that IT and MOED have worked with previously through the EU. Those might be good cities to have a friendship city relationship with, but we haven't explored in detail any of those partnerships. They may want a sister city relationship, so we still have to figure out how to tackle this in a way that's strategic and thoughtful, and not just jumping into a whole bunch of things that we can't maintain.
Sure, yeah, I was just looking at the historical. I knew
Mm-hmm.
there was talk that we had a relation.
It had started.
If you say it was back to the 90s, I'm going to believe you. So.
It was in the 90s. There was some information that I found online about, it was a city in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it kind of was in the early stages of forming, and then there was no information beyond that I could identify.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Item passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, 24-0465, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Carlos Anaya to the Innovation and Technology Advisory Commission.
Hi, Sylvia Vargas with the Mayor's Office. We have Carlos Anaya, who is a Ward 9 member, or resident, I should say, sorry, Ward 9 resident, and brings many years of experience to in the technical operation for the IT Advisory Commission.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
So moved.
Yeah.
Alderman Bug?
Just double check on that. I think that his area is moved to Ward 3.
He's a Ward 3 member?
His subdivision was moved to Ward 3, I'm pretty sure.
Used to be Ward 9?
Used to be Ward.
Yeah.
Okay.
He lives in Misty Creek, which is now in Ward 3. That was a great block party, but
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Item passes 5-0. Let's see here. Next item on the agenda, 24-0466, a resolution approving the appointment of Gloria Ramos, Keisha Varma, and Delaney Barron to the Aurora Youth Council.
So there's the 3 new students. Gloria is a student at Batavia High School. Kishva is a student at Wabansi Valley High School, and then Delaney is a student at Caneland. With these 3 appointments, 3 positions remain open on the Aurora Youth Council, 1 for IMSA and 2 for local private schools.
So moved.
Any questions or comments from the committee? I do have one. Is this our first one from the Batavia School District? Nice, good job.
Yes.
Yeah, very good job. So, any other questions or comments from the committee? Did I hear a motion from Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 24-0452, revised Alderman's office policies. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is for information only, and once we are finished here, it does not move on to our city council. So, thank you.
Rich Jacobs, Chief of Staff for the Office of Alderman. Happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions or comments?
I do have a question.
Alderman Smith?
So using this as an example, today's an example, and we look at the last item, it says any other people participating in the meeting remotely, and number 4 is be seen and heard while voting on items discussed. So, like Alderman Bug pointed out, this happened to him as well. So I guess my question to all of you is, at one point, when they first put him on, he was on when I got here and I was early, what, did they check and make sure he was seen and heard? Because it didn't seem like it was going on from his end, it was our end. So if we can't get them, I guess I'm just trying to talk this through. If they're doing everything right for at home remotely and the audio doesn't go through, do we still hold that up?
I would have to work with the communications department. I think it's a challenge that they have to come down from the 5th floor. It's the same people that are actually doing the live stream and the camera. I know that he was setting things up, but I'm not technology oriented in regards to this, so I just stayed out of the way. But
Can they hear him up there, where they are?
I didn't
don't
ask
know.
that question, but we did find out that they could hear online. So if they were watching it on YouTube or
Oh,
through the website, they could
okay.
hear him perfectly.
Oh,
So the issue is somehow between the 5th floor and down here. And I don't know what that means, what that means. But it is obviously on their radar screen right now.
okay. I don't know how you all feel about that, but that was just a question. I guess they resolved it by knowing that we could hear him and they could hear him online, so then it was okay. But I know when we did that with Bug, we got booted off, right? Didn't we? Yeah, because we couldn't hear you. So I guess we have to take this one situation at a time.
Yeah, hoping that as they work out the kinks in the new system, maybe it won't be an issue as often as it has been, so, but any other questions or comments regarding the policies?
Yeah, on the last point, thank you,
Alderman
Chairman.
Bug, yeah, sure.
In your, the last point, bullet point, number 1, did you mean to add in iPads? So you have laptops, mobile phone, you left out iPad.
Well, usually, based on comments from those older people that have done this, they use their iPads to get onto Granicus to look at the agendas. It certainly can be included. You can certainly do that. No one's stopping, but then I don't know how you can see the agenda with the attachments during a meeting.
Right. Yeah, I would add iPad just because a lot of times you get if you're not here, you get better reception, better signal with your iPad than some of the other devices. So,
Okay.
Yeah, there's times where I had to toggle back and forth, but the iPad gets great reception. Only other thing I had, in the middle, older people are limited to their annual mileage budget. I'm going to ask this question in finance, about looking into mileage by where the older person lives, and taking a look at Chicago and different things, where an older person lives further away from usually City Hall or whatever, and has to attend things further away versus everybody overboard, especially when you have numerous counties covered. So meetings that are out of the city that have to be attended. So it's going to be a question for finance, but I just want to let you know.
Great.
I have a question based on that.
Sure, Alderman
Rich, what
Frankel.
is our mileage budget for the year per alderman? Do you know offhand?
I should know this, and I knew it before. I know we increased it from the year before, and we've increased it it's going to be increased when we start the discussions for next year's budget. But we put it, it's one amount that we split 12 ways. And it could be $500. It is $500, so, for mileage only. For everyone.
So in the past, I think the policy has been, if somebody went over, and somebody's way under, that's okay because you have enough in the thing. But it's year to year, it's situation to situation.
And it's hard to manage that because it's not fair to the person. And some people, even though we prefer quarterly, the reports to come in quarterly so we can reconcile everything, some people wait until the end of the actual year to turn everything in, and so I can't.
It's hard to spread what's not used if you know what's used.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
so I agree with, yeah. so
Well, yeah,
And
everybody
we
gets a
need
set
to,
amount.
we have to operate that all 12 of you are gonna use it.
Right, and the reason I didn't even think about that, when Alderman Bug brought that up, I just saw one instance. I live in the farthest point in the west side of Aurora. I am on the ETSB committee. I'm the farthest alderman from the Naperville Police Station. I don't mind the drive, but I got a long drive there, and it's a lot of mileage and for costs and stuff like that. So it does make a difference, I guess, depending on who you are and where you go. I mean, that's, to my, I'd rather not do that, but that's, the lot in life I got with that. So yeah, that might be something to take a look at too. For a situation where you gotta go, even though you're the farthest away, and you run out of money, too bad, but you still are on that committee, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that would be something we need to take a look at.
And it's something that, is, I bring it up, it's part of the budget
Right.
that I start the process with. And if there can be a discussion in
Yeah.
finance
Yeah.
about that those, however you define it, Alderman Bug's line item and maybe others would get slightly more because of where they live.
Sure.
However you guys,
Yeah.
it finally gets, we can work with that. It's just the bulk of money that I have is
So-
currently.
But as
evenly
is, this
distributed.
right here is what we have to stick to, so we can decide that come October again, I guess, right? So the policy is what it
Yes.
is right now, so.
I have a question based on what Alderman Franco
Sure.
said. So, and I've never turned in my mileage unless I've gone to Springfield or Chicago. When you turn that mileage in from your home to, is that Naperville?
Yeah.
Is it home to Naperville or here to Naperville?
Home to Naperville and then back.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't use my mileage, and when I go visit my sites, that if I wanted to use my mileage, I would be doing it from home to the site, not, correct?
Correct. You do not get paid to come to City Hall.
No, I know
Or the
that,
Alderman's
that's not what I was
office.
suggesting. I was
Right.
suggesting if you're getting paid from leaving from City Hall.
Right.
Any other questions, Alderman Leish?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a budget question, but this one, the first one is about the hotel nights for the Chicago conference. It says we'll pay for one hotel night at IML Lobby Day in Springfield and Fall Chicago Conference. Isn't the Chicago conference 2 days or 3 days? I don't remember.
Well, I mean, technically, the very first day, there are some classes. The primary day is Friday to Saturday. And the reason it's written the way it is, I have to assume all 12 of you are going to attend, and I'm assuming all 12 of you may come to Springfield. So I have a finite amount in the budget to cover all this. We have increased it in the budget for 2025 because we're now a part of National League of Cities, and they have a component for elected official education, and in fact, Alderman Buggs is attending next week. Thankfully, it's in Chicago, but usually these are going to be in Washington, D.C., which requires...
Oh, I thought trip was in Hawaii next week.
Sign me up, please.
But it'll be increased. But right now, I don't know, and that's why I sent out the email earlier, was it yesterday, or at the end of last week, needing to find out what everyone's intentions are for IML in the fall.
Okay, and my second question, this also probably directed more at finance, but the item about maintaining social media and the newsletters, I understand that we don't have the staff for that. I know that the mayor's office just hired 5 new people, and our job is to work directly with them. But something for consideration as we approach fall budget might be to actually have a comms person work within the alderman's office to meet the social media needs or newsletter needs.
Well, actually, we do have someone that they just hired. Her, I forget her first and last name, but I've been meeting with her on Friday, and she was just hired, and she's the liaison to our office. She is housed in communications on the 5th floor, and she will be working with each of you on the various social media and other information in regards to communications.
But let's be real clear on this.
Excellent.
We are not going to be having someone post or handle things for our social media. This is not, you choose to have a social media, you don't have to have a social media. So if you want to post something on your alderman's page, that is, and if legal's over there, I remember them saying that is not a required part of our job. So that is something, if we choose to do it, it's not something the city's going to do for us. That's point one. Point two is your newsletter. Newsletters are a choice for aldermen. If an alderman chooses to write a newsletter, they're writing the newsletter to their constituents. A newsletter, those of us who have done it, take a tremendous amount of time and effort, but it is you to your constituent. It is meant to be you relating to them. It is not meant for staff to be writing an article to a group of residents that they have no relationship with, or that it's not their constituents. So the staff is there to help, the staff is there to proofread, the staff is there to do research if you need them to find an article for you, or if you need something from the city website to cut and paste and provide it for you. But if an alderman wants to write a newsletter, it's a choice that they are making, and it's the time and effort that they personally need to put into it to write to their constituents. And I think it's unfair to give that to our staff when that's something, once again, we're choosing to do. So that's a lot of work, and you need to know going into it, that's what you have to do.
And Rich, I believe you are referring to Liliana Rivera Nunez. Is that who was going to be assigned to us?
No,
it's not.
yeah, Blanca Vargas, thank
okay.
you.
I thought it was a person on last week's agenda, sorry.
Blanca has started, and I have a meeting with her on Monday. We're going to come up with a game plan and how she's going to engage with all of you.
Very nice.
I had one more legal question back to the be seen and heard while we're discussing issues. It's probably a question for legal, but what are the legal requirements for participating remotely, and does this line create any conflict with that legal requirement?
Rich, didn't you talk to legal before this came out? Yeah, legal has looked this document over.
And legal's coming. Nydia.
Okay. It's just that I can see exactly what, if the video goes out or there's a technical problem, and there's an important vote and you want to cast a vote.
I think in those circumstances, Nydia Molina, Assistant Corporation Counsel, there would be a telephone ability to do that. We're just kind of, the requirement is that you do it ahead of time. That's what OMA requires, that you indicate your inability to be present, and there are some specific guidelines, which I know that this policy is in line with that. And so we can make alternative arrangements, but as long as we can hear you through telephone, that would be appropriate.
So legally, you have to be heard,
Correct.
and this doesn't create any conflicts with that.
Not that I'm aware of. We have reviewed the policies and procedures that are before you.
Thank you.
I'd have to go back to OMA to see if it specifically says that you have to be heard. There's a part of OMA that talks about your inability to be present at meetings and what you can and cannot do, and what are the requirements in order to be allowed to be present via audio or video.
And I think there's also restrictions on executive session remote participation, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Let me follow up to that.
Sure, Alderman Bug?
Yeah, you said heard, and then you said we here, or heard by us, we. I think what it says in state law coming out of Zoom is that it has to be heard by the chair. Because if the person is talking to, in our case, the fifth floor IT, they can hear them upstairs, but we can't hear them here. At least that was a discussion I had with Mr. Veenstra a while ago. That's where, for them to be involved in this meeting, they have to be heard at this meeting, not heard by the director of IT upstairs on the phone or whatever.
Correct. And my understanding for this particular purpose, that you can hear Alderman Yamas today.
Oh, yes, yes.
Correct. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's clear, that Alderman Yamas can be heard by this committee and the chair for today. But that is the understanding, that it is heard here, because the chairman has to take vote and has to count the vote. It would be important for him to hear it, for this committee to hear it.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments?
Question based on what we've been discussing. Can you hear me, Chairman? Can you hear me?
Vice Chair Yamish, yes.
Can you hear me like normal now, or is this? the
No,
way
it's
that you hear me
still
at the
a
beginning?
little quiet, but
Very
we can
faint.
still hear you.
Okay, I mean, part of that might be because I'm losing my voice, but I had a question for council. The office policies, and they're not directly tied to what happened earlier, but, you know, I guess while we're at it, the option that we were exploring earlier before everyone could hear me, which was to just have a telephone, like for me to call Rich or someone else, and it place me on speakerphone in front of my microphone while I'm also on video. For future reference, if we were in this position that we were in today with our technical difficulties, could we do that and still satisfy the legal requirements?
Alderman Yamas, Nydia Molina, Assistant Corporation Counsel, audio conference is allowed through OMA. So if we can get you in through an audio conference, which would be, we have the equipment here, we could do that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding these policies?
No voting on this, correct?
No votes, yeah. And then, so as things arise, we can add to this, and it all comes, all comes to wrap, so.
We can certainly revisit it, but this is what staff and I will refer to if there's any questions in regards to what has been brought up with this document. And obviously, it's a living document and it can change depending on what's going on in the office, what's going on with all of you.
And just for the record, this has been shared with all of the aldermen before we sat today.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. Many times.
Okay.
Who to adjourn?
No other items on the
Second.
agenda? Your motion from Alderman Bug, second from Alderman Frankel. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned at 3:37. Thanks, everyone.